this question comes from Lefty Mew, who I've already mentioned earlier. Let me tab out and get the full question here. You mentioned before that you were homeschooled. Could you talk a bit about what this was like and how it works, and the subjects you studied / were good at / found interesting? Thanks. So that's a big question, and that's a big topic too. I feel like homeschooling is something that has a lot of people confused, and they don't really understand what it is or why someone would do it. And I love that we have another homeschooler here on the server. Ty Designs has mentioned that he had been homeschooled as a child as well, so he might be able to answer this question also, and I think he has talked about it in other videos. But yeah, it has a lot of kind of preconceived notions around it, like, oh, if you're homeschooled, you must never see any other human beings. You must not ever have any friends ever. What a horrible existence that must be. Totally not true. Totally not true. I have gotten that question from people before, so I'm not just making this up. People have actually asked me, like, well, how do you ever socialize? Stuff like that. It's not that hard, honestly. You live in a neighborhood that has other human beings in it, and usually those other human beings have children offspring, and you hang out with them. pretty cut and dry. And then you proceed to make them all jealous because you don't have to wake up until like 8 o'clock and start school at 9. And you can do it in your jammies while you're eating breakfast if you dang well please. It's a good life, guys. It's a good life. Let me grab some more wood. I'm going to run through this a lot faster than I had hoped I would. So the question was, what was it like, how it works, and then what kind of subjects and whatnot. So looking at the time, I loved it. I definitely felt a little odd just because most of the kids I knew and hung out with in the neighborhood were obviously public schooled, because that is the vast majority of people. I did have homeschool friends as well. But I felt a little odd just being different and having a different, way to be educated and not be up on all the stuff that happens to be cool at the current time and things like that, and not know all the in-jokes from all the kids who went to the same school and stuff like that. But it never super bothered me. I got along just fine and made my way in the world. And looking back at it now, I am so glad that my wonderful, wonderful mother decided to give up her own hopes and dreams of being, a professional lady out in the workplace, and decided instead to stay home with us chillins, then later my brother, and then much later my little sister, stay home and raise us and teach us and just give us a good, really good childhood. And it's something that I really, really value nowadays. Like, I feel like I got to grow up at my own pace. I didn't have peers forcing me to grow up fast or, peer pressure, stuff like that. I was able to just be a kid, climb a tree. I didn't have to be up at 5:30 in the morning hanging out in a freezing bus stop, waiting for the bus to come, take me to school, and spend another, I don't know what, like 8 something hours of my life. How long do you guys have to do that? I don't even know. Yeah, I just got to be a kid, and I really, really, really appreciate it. And I don't think I was held back learning-wise at all. I did fine. Once I got into college, I got a job. I've kept my job so far, and I'm a functioning member of society, so can't complain there. Now, before I get too deep into this, I am starting to run rather low on supplies. I guess we could start working on filling in the walls a little bit. Let's do that. You are always in the way, you dang guy. So there are many ways to homeschool. There's really no one right or set way. You can do absolutely everything yourself. You can do as little or as much yourself as you want to. It's an open book. You do what you want, which is beautiful. So the way my mom did it, she was not a trained teacher or anything. She didn't have a degree in teaching. She went through a public school called Calvert, which is based out of the East Coast here in the United States. And I just fell in the hole. It's always a jump scare for me fallen in a hole. I'm going to have to dig that up later, but I'm putting it in now anyway. And dimensions-wise, let's punch this out maybe 2 more. Yeah. So yeah, she bought a curriculum through this private school, Calvert. They would send the teacher manuals, so like what you should do each day, planned out course guides and day-to-day schedules, stuff like that. It would come with all the books you need, all the supplies you need, the pencils, the paper, the rulers, the rubber bands, like literally everything you need. Paste to eat, all that good stuff. And pretty much, like, you just followed the manual. You did the assignments for the day. You did the tests and stuff like that. And you're golden. Like, they had everything figured out that you would need to do. So it makes it really, really easy as far as teaching goes to be able to educate your kid. Like, you don't have to have a huge degree to be able to teach your kid, especially the younger grades. I mean, you don't have to be a rocket surgeon to be able to teach a kid how to add. You know, it's not that hard. If you yourself can add, you can teach a kid to add. And write and read and stuff like that. Stuff any parent could do, whether they are formally educated in that or not. And then as I got a little bit older, like, we stuck with that Calvert curriculum every year until I hit high school. I think they either didn't offer it for high school, or they got too expensive or something like that, because obviously getting that whole package deal is pretty pricey. So for high school, Mom pretty much just came up with her own curriculum. Like, she'd been doing this for quite a few years now, so she got pretty good at it. And she would find, other homeschool businesses and things like that would come up with their curriculums and recommend different books from different areas. Whoa! Is this... Hold up. Is this that pattern that Proxy's always yelling about? Is this that thing? She was always saying, like, oh yeah, it's really rare. There's some kind of pattern where if the netherrack blocks line up just right, they make something really cool. Some kind of star thing. Is that what this is? Because that's really cool looking. I'm going to screenshot that and send it to her. See if that's what it is. Boom. Did that screenshot? Yeah, it did. I have my chat turned off. Where was I? Curriculum. So yeah, high school is pretty much self-driven. Like, Mom would tell me, hey, this is the stuff that needs to get done today. You can do the subjects in whatever order you want, and you can take the test when you feel like you're ready, and you're good to go. And thankfully, obviously if you're just testing yourself and then saying, hey, I'm good, I'm done, let's move on, it's not really the best way to go about it, because you could just be bluffing and never really learn anything and just kind of slough off the entire time. So we had, especially when I was in the Calvert curriculum, and I think still when we were in high school, there were services where you could send in these tests to get them graded by a professional. So, oh, hold on, there's another one. Maybe this isn't the rare thing, but it's really cool looking, and I've never seen it before. I don't think I've ever spent this much time in the Nether before. Tests, yeah. Oh, especially as you're getting older and you're applying to colleges and things like that, it became really helpful to have a third party verify your grade results and things like that. So I'm very glad my mother was smart enough to have that done for us. Because you could just say, yeah, my kid is a straight A++ student. And they would just have to either take your word for it or laugh you out of the room. So that's one of the downsides of homeschooling is, in general, it's not treated as formal education, I guess. Like, a lot of people just assume you goof off all the time and don't really learn anything, even though that's not the case. Most homeschooled kids test a lot better because they get one-on-one education. Well, sometimes more, because homeschool families can get kind of big. But still, like, if you need to ask the teacher a question, you can be darn well assured that that teacher is going to answer your question, because it's your mom. Or your dad. Your dad can do it as well. But generally, it's the mom. I think I do want to have the slabs going all around on the inside as well. I'm at least going to start off with that. Okay, I'm kind of dwelling on this a little bit too long, but as far as subjects that I enjoyed the most, definitely not math. I am very, very glad that I'm out of school now for the rest of my life, and I never have to do another math problem again in my life, ever. There will always be a calculator or Google nearby, and I will never need to know math. Phew! That's a load off my shoulders for sure. I think reading was definitely my favorite. I would read all the time, and I could read, the books I wanted to for school for the most part. Oh, I've used up all the oak, so I can't start on the ceiling. You know what? I'm gonna reclaim some of that. I know this is dumb. I'm gonna reclaim some of it because I want to get going on the ceiling. I read a lot of the classics. Robinson Crusoe was and remains one of my favorite books of all time. I've read that many times. I really enjoy reading to this day. Lord of the Rings was huge when I was a kid, reading that. Oh, so good. I really love Oliver Twist and Tale of Two Cities, stuff like that. Just, I really got to feed my need to read as a kid because, it was allowed. We got to focus on that a little bit more. And I got to read what I was interested in, read at my own pace, and it was a good time. It was a good time, guys. Hold on. Is this not a thing I can do? Do that. Okay. Thanks, Minecraft. Thanks for that. Okay, so I don't want to go too far down the hallway here, because I'll probably run out of supplies, since I was not fully prepared. I basically had to put everything that I wanted to use in here to make sure I didn't randomly die and lose all the supplies. So I don't have as much as I normally would. Let's see. Restock that, swap that out. Okay, so I probably didn't answer that question the best. I've been getting distracted and I've been kind of all over the place. But to wrap it all up, I loved homeschooling so much that I'm going to do it for my Rosie baby, or my wife and I are going to do it, I should say. When we were first dating, we were talking about important life stuff like that, like what you grew up in, what kind of expectations you have for your own life, stuff like that. And I told her that, having my children homeschooled is really important to me. And she was on board with that. Like, yeah, that sounds great. She wasn't homeschooled at all. So at first it seemed really weird to her. She had the same kind of questions that a lot of people do when we first met and started getting to know each other. But since then I am totally doing this wrong. I'm a freaking derp. Please don't derp so hard, Cthulhu. You derp the hardest of them all. Please stop. Please stop. There we go. But yeah, she got totally on board with the idea after we had spent a decent amount of time with each other. Hello, thank you for that. And she is gung-ho and excited to be able to be a teacher for Rosie. And she is very much the artistic type. She's a graphic designer by trade, and she is really looking forward to teaching the art to our little girl. And much better her than me, because if I taught our little girl art, she would be drawing stick figures for the rest of her life and wouldn't know a dang thing about colors whatsoever. So she's in good hands with wifey on that front. So that is my long-winded answer to that question. Homeschooling is great. You should do it. Next off, let's see, what do we have? Hi, Cthulhu. I was wondering what screen recorder you use because I was thinking about starting YouTube myself. From Momat03. That's awesome, Momat. I would absolutely recommend you try it out. YouTube is a lot of fun. For the longest time, I used solely Fraps for recording. You can get a free version of it, if I remember correctly, but it's not very good. There are a lot of free screen recorders out there. OBS is something that I've been using a lot more of lately. I picked it up for live streaming for the Cthulhu Tuesday streams, and then I've also kind of here and there been using it for recording. I'm actually using it right now to record this Minecraft episode for y'all. It's just, I find that's a lot more lightweight than Fraps is, and it has so much more customization to it and just options in general. It's really nice. It's really easy to use. and it's very powerful. So I would recommend you check out OBS, Open Broadcasting Software, I believe is what that stands for. Very, very good program. Not perfect, and it's free, so obviously it's not going to be the most polished thing you will ever find ever, but it works very, very well. So yeah, check that out and let me know how it goes. Let me give me a link to your channel if you get that up and running. I would love to check it out and maybe give you some tips, some pointers, some things I've learned the hard way even. So thank you very much for the question, Momat. Now from Mark Natras we have, when looking at vacation destinations, what do you look for in a destination? The culture, the history? Didn't have a question to begin with. I bring this up because you're mentioning Belize. So I think that is in regards to when I was, good job, when I was chatting about Belize for some reason or another in my Q&A episode. Why did I? Oh yeah, there was a question about where I would live if it wasn't the US, I think. Something like that. Well, I don't vacation a ton. I went on a number of vacations within the United States with my family when I was growing up, road trips and such. And it takes a lot of time and money to be able to vacation properly, and then neither of those are things that wifey and I have an abundance of. So when we did manage to get to Belize, that was a really big deal for us. That was our first big vacation as a couple. Probably won't happen again for a while, especially now that we have a Rosie in our lives. But when we were planning that, I think the points you brought up were definitely the main factors, some of the main factors. The culture and the history of the area. Just, I don't know, it's such a cool area. Just Central South America in general has a lot of really cool ancient history to it with the Aztecs and the Mayans and the Incans. That kind of stuff, that history has always fascinated me. Just how advanced they were way back in the day, the kind of stuff they could come up with. It's just so cool. And I don't know, the area is just so laid back. People are so nice there. Belize especially was very, very cheap to do cool stuff and to live well and eat well, coming from the US. And a really nice thing about that country is it's very unknown still as far as touristing goes. So a lot of stuff is still undiscovered, and they haven't realized they can jack up the prices a ton. And a lot of cool things like old sacrificial skeletal remains and stuff like that, they're not roped off like they would be here because it's just not an issue yet. So you can get away with a lot there, and it's really cool. Like, we got to go climbing around in this cave system, swimming through areas, climbing up rocks, going into where they would do all these human sacrifices, the Mayans would, and you see all these bones that have been all crystallized and stuff because of the mineralized water hardening over it and everything. And, oh, it's just so cool. And you can eat really well there for really cheap. And if you have a lot of money, there's some really, really nice places you can still go to in Belize if you want to, which I think is really cool. So cost was a big thing. Just the sights to see and the stuff that was available was a big thing. There's lots of cool snorkeling and zip lining and spelunking and rafting you can do. Oh, so much cool stuff. And did I mention price already? The price was right for us. Honestly, I think flying to and from Belize was more expensive than everything we did in Belize combined, which is pretty crazy when you think of it that way. So yeah, those were the main things. There's a lot of cool stuff. We got to see a ton of ruins. We got to pop over into Guatemala for a couple days to see, oh gosh, Tikal, the Tikal ruins. A huge, massive complex of ruins that, interestingly enough, were featured in Star Wars. They were, some of the ruins there, the temples, were the backdrop for, which planet was it? Oh gosh, Endor? The moon of Endor, I think? With the little Ewoks that everybody loves? I'm pretty sure it was Endor. So that was kind of cool to see. So yeah, so much stuff, really small area with a lot of cool stuff packed into it. If you are the vacationing type and you're looking for an adventure, like you can have lazy time on the beach, or you can have crazy adventure inland, just checking out ruins and caves and all kinds of stuff. So if you are the vacationing type, you have the time and money to do it, absolutely check out Belize. Belize Navidad. So there you go. Thank you very much, Mark, for the question. Now my next answer is going to be way too long for this question of when did you start YouTube and why. So I'm going to save that for another time. And you know what? I'm basically out of resources. I don't know how long I've been recording because I'm a scrub and I don't pay attention to things. So I'm going to leave it off here. This may even get broken up into a couple episodes depending on how long I've been yammering away about homeschooling and Christmas and crap like that. It's starting to come along. There's absolutely nothing flashy happening just yet, but we're coming along. We're getting there. Starting to feel good. So we're gonna have doors here. We're gonna have plants and pictures here. Hopefully this doesn't all burn down. I didn't even think of this until just now. I should not have exposed flames nearby. I'm slightly surprised that fire hasn't spread already. Anyway, I've been yakking way too long. I hope you guys enjoyed the answers to questions. Feel free to keep them coming on ask.fm/Cthulhu2, and feel free to bring in more suggestions, especially now that we're going to start working on the interiors here. If you want to try to come up with stuff and let me know what you've come up with, I will more than likely end up working that into the final build here. And this is not going to be one single room, by the way. I just want to start getting some walls in. We'll probably section this off into at least 2, if not 3 rooms. We'll see. But yeah, that's what I've got for you guys today. We're starting to, really flesh out this tunnel, get things going here. What the? Seriously, guy? I'm trying to sign off here. You dang cheaty sword guy. We're starting to flesh things out. It's coming along. Thank you guys for being patient for these episodes of Castaways. I know it's been too long, and I'm going to try to prevent that from happening again in the future. Alright, I'm shutting up. Thanks for watching. See you guys next time for more Castaways. Bye-bye.